Hi guys, and welcome to this video. My name is Andrew Wells. I'm a professional photographer in the UK and also provide photo training. Today we're going to be talking about night photography, and in particular how HDR might help you in taking night photos. So let's have a look at a photo first of all. Okay, so this is Pultney Bridge in Bath, which has been shot after sunset. And I think generally it's a nice exposure on the bridge there. I'm just not really very happy with the amount of blue above the sky. You can hardly see it. And there's far too many dark areas for me. So although we've got the exposure of the bridge right, shadows under the bridge and in the water, and it just doesn't make a great photograph in my opinion with those areas like that. So really we need a bit more exposure. So look at another image I took on the night. Now in this one we've got the lovely blue sky. We've got some great reflections in the water of the buildings over to the left hand side, and the actual walkway with those columns on the left there is beautifully lit, as well as the trees and that side of it. So that's great, and we've got even a bit of detail underneath the bridge. But the bridge itself is overexposed and just looks too bright. And also the street lighting and the illumination lighting is really starting to get in the way and burn out. You can really see underneath the walkway where it's way too overexposed and we've lost a lot of detail. So what's the answer? Well, with this particular shot I decided to try a HDR image, which is basically where we combine 4 different images. So the first one was the dark image, and then we took another one stop light apart, then a third image, and then we did a final image. And you can see in that final image you've got a lot of detail in the shadow areas, but everything else is just way overexposed. And the idea is really to merge those 4 images together and create a single image. There's different ways you can do this, but normally when shooting a HDR image we would consider keeping the aperture the same. So that way, as you can see in this image, it was shot at f/22, so the railing's right in the foreground at the bottom. They're in sharp focus, and the bridge is also in sharp focus. So using that aperture gave some really great depth of field. Now we wouldn't change that when taking a HDR image, because we wouldn't want the depth of field to change between the photographs if we're taking them one stop apart. So normally we'd change the shutter speed. Now the problem with that on this particular image is we've got moving water. So the water's moving over the weir and it's creating a lovely flowing water. Now if we start messing around with shutter speeds, we might create more blur in terms of the image. It might even start getting a little misty effect. If we slow down the shutter speed, we actually get different frozen bits of water effect, and I don't really want that in this image. So to actually overcome that, what we've actually done is we've shot this 4 stops different using the ISO. So the first one was shot at 30 seconds on an ISO 100 f/22, and then the second shot was used at 200 ISO, the third was at 400 ISO, and then this final image we're looking at now was at 800 ISO. So that's how the photos were taken. We then basically brought those together to create the final image. And the only things I wasn't really that happy about in terms of these particular photographs was the right hand side, where we've got an extra bright light there next to the dustbin, and the dustbin doesn't really add anything to me. And I didn't actually like the zigzag at the bottom of the railings there. That was, to me, a little bit distracting. So the final image, we've actually cropped that down a little bit to make it a more pleasing image in terms of when we look at. So let's have a look at that final shot. There it is. So we've got Pultney Bridge is nicely evenly lit, and you can see we've got the blue in the sky. The buildings on the left hand side are all nicely lit. The reflections are great. We've kept that blur in the water, and we've cropped off those distracting areas, and even the street lights aren't over powerful. They don't actually distract you too much from the image, and you can actually see underneath that walkway there going across the shot. It's nicely lit underneath. In terms of the images were shot in RAW, and we just simply pulled those into Lightroom, and then from the final images we did a slight adjustment on the color balance, because the lights were a variant of colors from blue to orange, so we did a little bit of tweaking on the color balance, and we just tweaked the grain a little bit, so we just smoothed that out, so it was the ISO 800 wasn't so grainy as it might well be. We then literally imported it or exported it from Lightroom directly into Photoshop, and you do that from the photo menu and you say edit in Photoshop Hdr. It's as simple as that, and we'll use Photoshop's HDR tools. I'm not going to go really into too much detail in this video on how we did it. I think everyone's got their own different methods of doing that. I simply brought it down to an image that I thought was most sort of photorealistic in terms of the shadows, the contrast, and the brightness of it. So I hope if you like that shot, hope you enjoyed the video. If you have, then why not pop over to our website and have a look at some of the training we do. Come join us on Flickr, where you can see a lot more of our images and our work. And also, if you on Facebook, you can join in the chat there of our Facebook page, or come and have a little Twitter with us on Twitter and join in the conversation there. We'd love to see you. So, my name's Andrew Wells, and thanks for watching.